Welcome to Lynn Cullen Live. Talk radio without the static. Email your questions and comments to lynncullenshow@gmail.com. And now your host, Lynn Cullen.
Lynn Cullen and her dog. Could get a little noisy here in a second. Not sure. Usually he's gone by now. But I would imagine we might hear some barking. We're also going to hear my sister Susan because she's joining us, given the fact that it is a Tuesday. So, hi, Suze.
Hi.
Hi. So
Good morning.
I don't know
good morning.
What?
I said good morning. Good morning.
Oh, good morning, and good morning to you too. It's just so we get in the right place here. It's the 25th, 2 days away from the debate we're all anxious about. Susan, I got some stuff in the mail yesterday, and what do you think it is when? Well, I opened this thing up, and it was a check made out to my trust for $85.03 from a life insurance company in Topeka I never heard of. And it says here that it's a death audit. What does that mean? What is that? You don't know.
They were checking to see if you were dead yet, and you weren't.
Yeah, but
I don't know, and that they owed you money on some policy that you didn't know you had.
I don't have a policy.
I don't know. Well, but you don't know that some workplace didn't have a policy.
But why would they send me a check for not being dead?
Okay. The value of periodic death audits. All types of benefit plans can realize a significant value by performing periodic death audits. In retirement and pension plans, see, this is coming out of some retirement thing that you're in.
But I don't.
If you have payments that are automatically put in and you don't pay attention, there.
Okay. Well. So it's. I mean, It's from.
I mean, maybe they thought you were dead and they stopped paying you, and so they realized you weren't, so they're paying you again. I have no idea.
No.
It's supposed to find out if you're dead.
The death audit is.
That's what it is, but I have no. It's to find out if they're paying out of a pension fund to somebody who died.
But I'm not dead.
Well, but your share of something might be larger if they've discovered through death audits that payments that shouldn't be made, and therefore you get a little bit more, is the only thing that I can figure out.
Well, what you just said makes no sense to me, but if it made sense to you, okay. So,
well, it is me doing what you always accuse me of, but it's
bullshit.
The only thing that makes sense given what a death audit is.
Okay.
You are in some pension fund or something that conducted one and righted their numbers, and therefore your percentage payout was slightly different, and they're making up the difference.
Okay, I don't understand. But I should cash it?
Yeah, of course. It's $86.
Okay, so there was that, which was confusing. And then there is, I was got my annual invitation to the annual meeting shareholders of the Green Bay Packers, which will be July 22nd in Lambeau Field. And they sent me the ballot to vote on the directors. And one of the things I actually looked at who all the directors are. Good God.
Yeah.
No, it's just all, there are so few women, it's a joke. The only, one of the few women is your friend Chris Waleski. But other than that, here are the first names: Michael, Daniel, Michael, Casey, Philip, Michael, Wilson, William, Donald, Michael. Lots of Michaels.
Yeah, they're the presidents and CEOs of local companies. These are honorary,
No, I can see that you're the CEO of Century Drill and Tool Company.
Right.
And the chair of like Schreiber Foods, right?
Right.
Yeah.
It's an honorary position, and you have to work hard to be thrown off, which is the only one of which I know.
Somebody was thrown off it? Really?
Yeah, because he was doing inappropriate things,
Huh. Well, so anyway, so there they are, and right. Yeah, chair of the Kohler Company, right. So we got.
That's who they are.
Yeah, people who make plastics, people who make tools.
They basically
toilets.
Rubber stamp what the professional management tells them to.
Right, and I see also among the board members is Mark Murphy, who is the CEO. How is a CEO on the board of directors? That doesn't make any sense.
It doesn't make any sense.
No.
It's muddling the branches of government. It doesn't make any sense.
No. Oh, here's a news anchor from WBAY TV. He got on. William Jarts. So here's what I want to know. It's interesting because they give the ages, which I find odd. Like, here's what they're telling us about these people. Their name, their age, and how long they've been on the board, and their occupation. But I noticed that none of they're all like in their 50s and 60s, except one who's 43. And then I saw that there is a mandatory retirement age of 70. That's why they're all in their 50s and 60s.
Yeah, that's why. Well, it's probably why Mike Murphy is no longer the CEO because he hit mandatory.
No.
And he's shifted over to the board.
Oh, right. He's 69.
No, they just named a new one.
Oh, really? Okay.
He's just, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, forgive us for this. I always get such a kick out of it when this comes, that, it's the only football team that has a bunch of yahoos as owners and local yokels as the board of directors. So there's that.
Yeah, and we're shareholders, so
yeah, I know. So we get a
vote.
vote. I'm not voting this year. I voted last year, and I'm sick of it. It's just a rubber stamp. Okay, so there's that. So I got the death audit check. I got my Packer shareholder invitation and ballot, and that gets us through, I think, that. And I think
that gets us through your mail. Yay!
I think I'm through the mail. Yeah. Oh, and then there's this. Where the hell is the dog walker? This is unusual, I just want to say. At least the dog's being quiet. Okay. So the other day, I'm reading the New York Times, which, by the way, did not come today, and I was told it would not come. They emailed me and said, your New York Times will be delivered tomorrow. We are sorry. This is due to a production delay. I can't imagine what that means. Yeah, so I didn't get a paper
Well,
today.
it's what they say when it's a snafu.
It's a snafu. But in the New York Times last Friday, excuse me while I take a slug of, there was a full page ad, which is not unusual, but it was on page 5. So, you know, it's the first big ad in the New York Times that day. And it was one of those ones with a lot of words. And don't ask me why I read it. Do you ever read those full page ads? Ever?
Sometimes, yes.
You do? Okay,
Yeah.
well, it sort of got me because the first words, the biggest words are this: inflammatory social posts, combustible clickbait, and our digital dumpster fires. How a sausage company from Sheboygan plans to fix the whole shebang. How
That's
weird.
an ad?
It's the sausage company from Sheboygan paid for this. It's an ad.
Well, what's their plan? I'm all eyes and ears.
Yeah, but this is what's so weird about it. If this was their intent, I hesitate. It's so bizarre that I don't know how to eat without reading more of it. Okay, so a little bit of this. I mean, I was so stunned by it. It says, since this is a sausage ad, let's start by diving into some data about the emotional state of our nation. Now, that sentence makes no sense, right?
Well, that's fine. I mean, are they doing a Penzi thing where they're stating their opinions? You know, like Penzi spices.
They think people are too. They say Americans are tired. They had the Harris Poll Company do a poll for them, and it said 80% of the people say they're exhausted by the anger and negativity in the country. Most think election is going to make things worse. Then they go on to say the internet is a big reason. Our social media, it says, can make it seem like the world has gone hopelessly mad. And I'm reading this and thinking, what the F is this about?
Sausage makes you happy?
Yeah, kind of, not really. So it then goes into saying that a lot of people say they wish social media were less negative. And then we start getting somewhere. We have a solution. With tomorrow being National Positive Media Day, for real, Google it. We happen to have some advertising money, and we're going to spend it putting as much positive content as we can on America's social media feeds from now until International Kindness Day, which is November 13th. Also an actual thing. Google it. So they're saying they're going to pepper social media with positive stories. Well, they have a hashtag, keep the internet juicy. I yesterday went looking for that hashtag on Elon Musk's, Twitter, on a few other social media sites, and I found nothing. What is going on if a company, you know what this would cost, a full page ad in the New York Times? I am so confused by this.
What was that last question?
What? Why? It's work. This is expensive, and okay. So
No. They're doing basically what the Penzi Spice people
does. They're
Yeah.
not Penzi Spice.
And people actually buy their spices because they like Penzies. And it's also a Wisconsin company, and I think that's actually exactly what this is doing. It caught your attention.
Yeah, but so Penzi Spices takes a very I mean, they're clearly liberal, and they talk about specific political topics. These guys aren't doing that. They just want everybody to calm down and stop being. Well, they sort of end it this way. Why, they say, why is a sausage company spending its money this way? Well, somebody has to. 60% of Americans agree having fun with people has gotten harder. How sad is that? And we make serious hangout food, the stuff that feeds block parties and potlucks. And 71% say they're hanging out with people less than they did 5 years ago. We think that stinks. Yeah, and it's bad for our business. Last and perhaps most naively, we truly believe this can work, at least for a little while, and only if we get lots of help. A whopping 92% of people agree seeing people do positive. So they're saying, will everybody just jump in? And
just be kind, and pass it on.
Yeah, but so their hashtag, keeping it juicy, keep the internet juicy, which is an odd hashtag, is not working. It's not on there anywhere.
Maybe they haven't started it yet.
What? You take out a full
what's
page.
The name of the are you refusing to name the sausage company for some reason?
It's the most it is the largest sausage company in the United States, Susan. It is Johnsonville Sausage.
Brats. Yeah.
Well, brats and
the Johnsons. That's very interesting. The Johnsons live in Chicago.
No.
My late cleaning lady worked for them.
No. I looked it up, and this company was started by people named Stayer, the Stayer family. It's privately owned, still relies on the same values and work ethic that the Stayer family instilled in its family-owned butcher shop in Sheboygan Falls. Johnsonville most popular sausage in the U.S. and available now in more than 45 countries. But this looks like a total loss for them. If you take out an ad like this and then nothing happens.
Right.
Well. Okay. Well, I found that so odd, so bewildering, and I wonder if any heads are going to roll at Johnsonville Sausage. Nancy says, I don't think you should cash that check. I think it's a scam. Well, how would cashing the check,
Yeah, it's a bad scam.
Yeah.
If you bring the check to your bank and you cash it, it's addressed to you properly. You are not doing anything illegal. It's $86. If worst case she had to give it back, she'd give it back. But it can't be a scam if no information is derived by the check sender.
Yeah, I mean, right. I mean, I got here we go. I got a physical check. Yeah. So, and it looks like the real deal. So I'm gonna. Dear God in heaven.
Yeah, and you don't have to write them a check to cash the check. No, just deposit the check.
Yeah. Oh, this is
It's
pissing.
it's an additional. It's just a bookkeeping check from some retirement benefit plan or pension fund that you receive money from. That's all.
Well, the only pension I have is Hearst, the Hearst company.
That's right.
But
That's right. And that size of adjustment probably makes sense in terms of what your payout from that is. So that's probably what it is.
I don't know. But I don't have a clue. Okay, here comes finally the dog walker. All right, okay, here. Okay, so there's that. Also,
All right. So, yes, go ahead.
No,
Yeah,
I'm sorry. Everything is so confused today. Okay, the dog finally left. I am very annoyed. The deal is they get him out before the show. I'm sorry. So,
That's
okay, I'll calm down.
We had a fearsome storm last night, and like the rocking chair was in the pool.
Whoa. Whoa. Yeah. The weather is scary, I would say. I find myself feeling trepidatious about weather. A darkening sky. And
I mean, the way the storms are, it just seems to me that the velocity of the winds in the area has picked up considerably.
Right.
And so what I find myself doing is checking all the big old trees around me regularly for deadwood, because I don't want something to fall out of one and kill me.
Well, that's my fear here too. Of getting hit. I'm
terrified of trees now.
Yeah, I've got a lot of old.
But I'm terrified of them.
Yeah, I've got a lot of old, not good, trees around me. And I'm constantly
in very wet weather, they can just fall right over.
Yeah, I know. So there's that.
So anyway, trees are rather frightening.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
But so I was dutifully trying to think of things to discuss today, and every time I tried to read or just at least scan the news, my brain would just skitter off into the most ridiculous articles that had nothing to do with anything. One of which had to do with an art museum hanging Picassos in the ladies' room.
Toilet.
Yeah, which made me think that a woman that I knew from my days in St. Louis named Roxy Frank, who happens to be the mother of Danny Meyer, who is the restaurateur in New York, Union Square Cafe, and he's the guy that started Shake Shack.
Okay. You finally said something.
He's a very big restaurateur. He's the guy that tried to stop tipping in his restaurants by paying his staff.
Yeah.
That sort of. Anyway, very interesting guy. Anyway, his mother, Roxy, had a Picasso in her bathroom.
Okay.
In her powder room. And it was just fascinating to me that you would hang such a valuable thing directly above a toilet.
Well,
wouldn't you think that was a dangerous place to put something?
No, I don't think you would. And I mean, a bathroom usually. Well, I actually, I once had. It doesn't matter. I think a bathroom is a great place to hang art that you want people to look at, because you have
I agree, but
audience.
you couldn't sit on the toilet Let's just make clear. You couldn't sit on the
No, but
toilet
if you're
and
a bunch
gaze
of
at the picture.
guys will see it if they're
But if you're a
standing.
man, you could
Yeah.
look at it.
Right.
Which is my point. If the guy is leaning forward to see if that's a real Picasso, and
I don't
things
know.
can go awry.
I don't know.
I just think it's
It could also be it's a way of saying, hey, I'm so rich. I got
oh well,
Picassos.
she didn't have to say that. Everybody, she was famously so, and also one of the original gallery owners in St. Louis,
Well,
and
it
she
might have-
was on the board of every art museum. So of course she had an art collection.
Well, so that's it. That's a place she thought it would. I don't know. I got stuff hanging in my bathrooms. And it's not a sign of disrespect.
Well, I always liked it. She likes the picture. She hung it. It
Yeah.
wasn't a thing that one was not
Yeah.
supposed to
Yeah.
enjoy and just revere. It was it's a Picasso hanging in the bathroom. It's as good as anything.
So okay, changing the subject. Kurt sent this in, and it really, boy, this really. He just said, here's something, it's contrast to how two people are treated. And in this case, they're two black people. One's a man and one's a woman. And
one of them gets treated even worse.
One of them doesn't get treated badly at all. Clarence Thomas, ladies and gentlemen, is our first. And it just says Clarence Thomas, millions in unreported gifts. The next thing it says is Fonnie Willis. These are two black people in positions in the judicial system. Clarence Thomas on the make and take for millions. Fonnie Willis going after, the people who tried to steal the election. And she got raked through the mud. And she was told, if you watched her, trial, she was asked to prove that she actually paid for her own dinner. Because if she didn't pay for her own dinner, it meant she was unethical and on the take. And a whole trial was held. Her name besmirched. Clarence Thomas sits atop the highest court in the land, takes millions and millions and millions, and hasn't been touched. That is.
Oh, and why isn't anybody looking at his taxes? That's unreported income. Even if it's a gift, there's only so much you can take as a gift without incurring a gift tax. I mean, I think from any one person at this point, maybe it's $18,000 this year. The rest is subject to some kind of tax, which, if unreported, which is my guess,
the guy's
he hasn't paid.
He's a crook and a grifter, just like Donald Trump. But that really just blew me away. Think of that, how Clarence Thomas, and how that woman who can't live in her own home, who actually has body doubles sometime because they're so worried about somebody.
Right, and they've gotten rid of the case too. Right,
they've pretty much gotten rid, as they have, of all of these cases. Dragged through the mud because she went out with a guy in her employ.
Because she did her job.
Well, no, but she
had a personal life while doing her job.
Yeah, but it wasn't good optics. She shouldn't have been dating a guy in the office. It's not good optics.
But
you want good optics?
I know. It wasn't good optics.
Look at Clarence Thomas. Yeah, and nothing.
Excuse me. optics. Good optics mean nothing if nothing illegal occurred. And why is having a perfectly normal dating relationship in any way a bad optic? I don't care if they work. They weren't working, actually. He didn't work except that she hired him, and then they started a relationship.
Well, let's not get into
we don't have to deal with that.
It doesn't matter anymore.
Please tell me how many people don't meet their future spouses in their workspace.
I understand, but I am just saying she gets dragged through the mud.
Women get shot for behaving like perfectly normal human beings. Yes, that's true.
Okay.
And men get away with stealing millions without anybody paying attention. Yes, that's true. Boys will be boys.
Well, I do want to say this. I'm a fan of the Surgeon General. I
am too.
I think he's
speaking those strange words.
I think he's really taking his job seriously. His call out of social media and its public health dangers, and this one today is so much bigger. Calling the gun deaths a public health emergency. And he says, I want people to understand the full impact of firearm violence in our country, and I want them to see it as a public health issue. I know it's been politicized, but if we can see it as a public health issue, we can come together and implement a public health solution.
Well, yeah, I mean, and part of the issue, we also have to redefine how the violence changes lives, and point out that the shooter's life is ruined as well. That all of these people that have been taught to shoot first and ask questions later are finding themselves, if they survive the situation themselves, in jail. You can't shoot through your front door and kill someone that rings your doorbell.
Oh, I don't know about that.
You can't.
In some places you get away with it.
Well, he's on trial.
I understand, but this stand your ground crap in a lot of states.
You can't murder your renter's kid and almost kill her.
Listen.
Because you've been politicized and instructed to do it. No, you can't.
Well, here, I'm telling you, we live in a crazy place. Where did I just see this? That at the Republican National Convention in Milwaukee, coming right up, delegates will be able to enter the secured facility with AK-47s.
Oh, good. Maybe they'll, who knows what could happen. I mean, I'd sure like to go to that one.
This shows the insanity. I got that in the week. I'm looking to see if I can find. I can't. Damn it.
Who's that kid that got acquitted for killing all those people killing those couple of people in Milwaukee? His mother
or Kenosha,
in Racine,
Rittenhouse or something.
Yeah. Did you see that his mom and sister are begging for money because they're being evicted because they have no money? So,
well, he's making time. He's making
the mother of a national hero.
Well, he is a national hero to the right.
Well, let him pay for their rent.
Well, right. He's making money hand over fist, going and speaking, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, it says here, delegates at July's Republican National Convention in Milwaukee will be allowed to carry AR-15 rifles inside the event's security zone. but you can't bring canned goods in.
What are they securing it from?
I don't know. I can't live in this crazy place.
Well, come to think of it, this is a very interesting scenario. If no one's checking for guns, well, but the only problem is Donald Trump won't even bother to show up at the convention.
Probably not. Probably not. As of 2020, firearm-related injuries have become the leading cause of death for children in this country, for adolescents in this country. More children in this country die from guns than from car accidents, cancer, heart disease. That's why the Surgeon General is saying, hey, this is a public health crisis.
It's the leading cause of death.
It's the leading cause of death. The United States has a firearm-related death rate over 11 times higher than any other country that could reasonably be compared to us. We are such an outlier. And also, the huge suicide rate in this country is a direct result of the easy availability of guns, and that most suicides, I think, are now gun related. Yeah, deaths caused by guns rose to a 3-decade high in 2021, driven by increases in suicides and homicides. More than half of all gun deaths in 22 were from suicide. Whoa. All those people who brought guns into their homes thinking it would keep them safe. More than half of all gun deaths were from suicide. 40%,
of course,
from homicide. Insanity. And I suppose the only way to go at that is legislatively, and then if it gets to the Supreme Court, they'll say it's unconstitutional, right?
Well, I mean, I don't know what changed, but for the longest time, you were absolutely forbidden to even say such a thing legislatively. It was a deal that was made.
What do you mean?
And that's much like marijuana, you weren't allowed to do research, officially the effects of gun violence in the United States as a health issue.
Yeah. Doctors were told they couldn't ask people if they had guns in the home. Remember that? Pediatricians?
Or mention that it was a risk.
Yeah. We're nuts. We are stark raving mad. So I told my sister, Susan, and our mother last night to watch a hockey game last night, and I'm sure they didn't.
No, we didn't. Right. But I did check to see who won.
Yeah, it wasn't what I wanted, but I mean,
I know.
If you were betting, the odds were clearly that the home team wasn't going to lose 4 in a row. So, yeah, but it was a pretty good game, even if I didn't like the outcome. Speaking of games, name a football coach you hate. Any football coach. Susan, can you think of even one?
Well, Belichick.
There you go. That's all I wanted. That's the correct answer.
Are we talking about his young lady? And
yes,
emphasis on the young.
I just saw that Bill Belichick has taken up with a 24-year-old former cheerleader.
Well, but in his defense, let me just say that one of her prior beaux, who was some rich 64-year-old, declared her wise beyond her years.
Declared her what?
They're dating her for the articles.
He's 72.
Isn't that what they used to say about Playboy?
Yeah.
He's 72.
He's 72.
Her previous boyfriend was 54.
And he is disgusting. And I now have even more reason to find him thoroughly disgusting.
Loathsome.
Oh. Hey, I don't know if you saw this, that there was a thing was voted on in the House of Representatives, and almost every Republican voted for it, but that wasn't enough, and it lost. And what they were voting in favor of was restoring the Confederate memorial, which had been taken down in Arlington National Cemetery.
Honest to Pete.
This
is what they sit around thinking of, in not, of how they can look like they're doing something.
Oh.
While doing nothing and hurting people at the same time. It's so fun.
Fiddling while Rome burns, doing nothing of any consequence except this recidivist, this like unbelievable Back to the Future shit. The monument, which was removed in December, among other things, features a black mammy holding the white infant child of an Confederate Army officer as he goes off to fight. And he is followed by a slave he owns who's following his owner into battle.
Because he really wanted to go, and they're so grateful.
And this is, Speaker of the House Mike Johnson, Scalise, all of them want that back.
But that's of course they do. They want things back the way they were in the good old days when everybody knew their proper place. Each color knew where they belonged, and each gender, which was very specific, knew what they were supposed to be doing.
Yeah. Well, God almighty. Where did I see the increasing, if you look at polling, how Republicans are becoming less and less and less what's in favor of gay marriage. No, they're backtracking.
Oh no, I was just sitting here thinking they're taking it. They are now openly plotting to reverse gay marriage. They are openly plotting to take away contraceptives. They are openly plotting to get rid of divorce. I mean, and when you think of this, it's just nuts, because who are the people that rely on all of this stuff the most for all of their lascivious wrongdoings that they seem to be constantly engaged in?
It's just,
where would Donald Trump be without divorce?
Well, but the rules don't apply. He came out, he agrees, by the way, the other day, he came out and said that, yes, he thinks all school classrooms should have the 10 Commandments. And I'm thinking, you thief, you liar, you adulterer, you every
right, you coveter of your neighbor's wife.
Every freaking, but gee. Okay, so here are the numbers. I found them. Republican support for same-sex marriage has declined from a high just 3 years ago of 55% to now 49%. And in 23, it's down to 46%, excuse me, from 55% to 46% a 9-point drop in 2 years, the last 2 years. And over that same span of just 2 years, the number of Republicans describing same-sex relations as morally acceptable has declined from 56% to 40%, a 16-point drop in 2 years. So I want to say to my gay friends, young women today do not have the same rights that their grandmothers had because of these Christian nationalist conservatives. And if you think because you have gay marriage that that's necessarily going to stay,
That they're going to let you keep it. Yeah.
Indeed.
No, it's. I mean, this movement, and just about everybody out there is going to lose something under what they're plotting that they value, and anybody that watched what happened to women and didn't hear that bugle screaming for action is nuts, because they really truly are coming for you next. And but having said that, whenever they say the word, so this percentage of Republicans, just 2 years ago, I keep saying to myself, yeah, but the number of people who identify as Republicans is far smaller, and those of moderate views have left the party. So I don't know who they're polling, but I can guarantee you that if you're still identifying as a Republican, you are very further right than even 2 years ago.
Yeah, true.
So I always take those polling samples with, okay, but let's look at the larger pool that they're drawing from and who those people are. And those people are different because the moderates are no longer calling themselves Republicans.
Okay.
Period.
Hey, Beth has said, whoa, this is a good email from Beth. Listen to this. And I was going to say this, Beth. She says, I think it's a great idea to have fine art in the indoor outhouse. Most bathrooms do not have windows, and the artwork's exposure to light is minimal, thus helping the piece from, fading. Now, the reason I know this is true is I once bought at an auction. Well, actually, what it was is I was the auctioneer for some fundraising event. And one of the things I was auctioning off was a Warhol sketch of a soup can. It was just it was a quick little, he probably did it in 2 seconds for somebody. A Warhol sketch of a soup can. And I started the bidding at $1,000. Own a Warhol for $1,000. Nobody bid. So I think I said, this is a fundraiser. I said, look, I am getting things started. I bid $1,000. The auctioneer here is bidding $1,000. Well, you know the rest of the story. I went home with.
Well, then they just had a good time doing it.
Yeah. Well, I went home with my Warhol, and it was framed and a lovely little thing, and I put it in my living room, which has skylights. It disappeared. I still have it, and Susan, someday when you're here again, I will show you my Warhol. It now looks like a white piece of paper.
It's now a white napkin.
Yeah, it looks like a white piece of paper, and that's my Warhol. So now I'm very aware of what Beth is saying here. Anyway,
I have a piece of art like that I inherited that is a disappearing batik. And I hang it in the guest bedroom where I keep the blinds closed most of the time, so it gets absolutely no light, and there's and you can still barely make out what once was a quite beautiful thing.
Well, here's also something Beth says that I think is really smart. About your check, I understand what Susan is saying, but after my dad died, my mom got a check like the one you are stating, a death audit. She cashed it. By her cashing it, she was agreeing to extend a policy rather than being able to cash in the full value of the policy. I would check with Hearst or your pension manager to make sure this is legit. They would know right away if they approve such an audit of the plan. Well, but who would this be? I don't understand.
Yeah, but she's not. There's no one around her that died that upon whose death she no. That set of facts I totally get, but does not apply in this circumstance. If she's not paying anything to anybody.
You know what?
So extending anything wouldn't, in order to, it wouldn't cost you. I know, I don't know. So you can call the person who sent the check and say, what is this?
Well, there's no person, but there's the Everlake Life Insurance Company in Topeka.
Well, call them.
I guess. Like that's what I want to do. For $86.
Or rip up the check. It's $86. I mean.
Yeah.
If you're worried about it.
Well, this brings us to the
brings us to the world we're in, where
that's
one
right.
cannot answer one's phone.
Where you don't know if anything is real, if anything is safe, if anything is secure. And it's driving me crazy. I mean, you make one wrong move and there goes, God knows what. Some guy actually wrote a piece in the Times today about teenage slang now and how he thinks it is so on the money that he says this is a generation that has grown up in this madhouse where reality is up for grabs, right? And they have ways of well, here, let me see if you know. Glazed. If something is glazed, it signifies it's not lying exactly, or even exaggerating.
But the truth is burnished a little bit. Yeah,
it's about maybe positively spinning something. So this is young people who, all those ideas of, that's something that's glazed. Glazed is a gilding of information, making something bigger than it was or is. But it makes it also not entirely, whatever it is, trustworthy, right? So this total lack of being able to trust anything. And another word they use, sus, S-U-S. Now, it's not the same as sussing something
suspect?
out. Yes.
Suspect.
That's anything that is suspect or suspicious.
Yeah.
And they live in a world in which so much is that you shorten it down to sus.
Sus.
I
mean, you might suss out whether something is sus, but yeah, right.
And he says another one is the word based. And it's probably short for based in fact or based in reality.
Mm-hmm.
So if somebody says something and you simply want to agree and acknowledge that that is, yes, real, you just respond based. And it's typically used for political subjects.
Right. Having a foundation.
So,
All of the current slang, it sort of makes sense.
Yes. Yes. And it says here that
it's just short. It's short for exactly that. I mean, so the guy that's writing the article is cringe, and that's how his kids, his teenage kids, view him. Well, all parents are cringe.
Yeah, well, cringe is out there all the time now. And he says this: the world of my son's generation is a dark one, full of corporate triumph and the defeat of public spirit, where systems of meaning are decaying and a lack of clarity is spreading. I feel for him. I feel for him. But I think those are all good. Yeah, it's sus, based, and I forget what the other one was. What was that other one? The first one? I can't think. Another word they use a lot is mid, meaning something is just, it's like meh.
Right.
Mid.
Fair to middling.
But slang is, always, there is always generational slang. There can be a lot of great slang out of the Black community, my God. I remember the first time,
But certain things stay. My 3-year-old granddaughter looked at something. I think I had a ring on, and she was examining it, and she said, "Very cool, Nana."
Are you sure, though, that cool's still in? I'm not so sure.
No, but a 3-year-old is saying cool.
Yeah, but she might cringe later that she ever said cool.
I'm sure she will. she cringes now.
Yeah. So, yeah, I actually remember once, coming out of lily white Green Bay, and I was at Northwestern, and a Black friend said something about, something about my crib. And I didn't, that's the first time I'd ever.
Yeah, you were picturing a baby bed.
Well, yeah, it's the only thing I knew crib meant. And I mean, you feel so stupid when you don't know the lingo.
Right.
I'll tell you the great news today, and there was great news. The Israeli Supreme Court.
Yes. Oh, wasn't it great news?
It's the greatest news.
I mean,
unanimously ruled that these jerks, these ultra-Orthodox young men sitting, over their prayer books day in and day out, can no longer avoid military service as they
military service. And it was the ultra-Orthodox that would start the damn wars. And then they would excuse their own kids.
That's right. They start the wars and let others send their sons and daughters.
For them.
So the Supreme Court said that not only are they now to be conscripted, but they are no longer eligible for essentially the welfare that they live off of. They do nothing.
And they pay no taxes because none of them work.
Because they don't work.
Now you're going to have to work.
The worst. They are leeches and parasites. And they are the ones who pull
look down on everybody else. I was wondering if you were going to talk about that because I have the same reaction. I was just hopping around going, about time.
And here's the other thing.
I understand how the other people of Israel ever allowed their children, boys and girls, to be conscripted, while 10% of the population, for some reason, was let off scot-free. Oh, excuse me, I can't say that. Free.
That's right. It's beyond belief. But here's the problem. They breed like rabbits. So it used to be a rather slim minority group in Israel, but now they make up easily 12%. They are what makes up Netanyahu's political power. It's just whatever. It's the greatest news I ever heard. And then what was this one thing I read that just made me go nuts? They believe that they should not have to serve because they say that their prayer creates the backbone. Here it is. They say their religious studies, yes, comprise the spiritual backbone of the nation. And here's one of their leaders. There is no force in the world that can disconnect the people of Israel from Torah study. And anyone who has tried in the past has failed miserably. Well, you freeloading,
you know what?
Crazy
they can study
people.
The Torah and be a soldier, just like doctors have to stop doing what they're doing and go to war. And then, that's how it works.
You creeps. Just saying. God, make me crazy. Take that whole crew.
Yeah.
Take the settlers and the West Bank settlers and just, put them on the front lines. I'm serious.
Well, this is diversity and equity Israeli style.
So let's hear it for the Supreme Court.
To be treated equally.
Of Israel.
Yeah, which they've tried to outlaw, remember.
Yeah. And you see why. All right. Well, I think that's
they didn't try and outlet it. They tried to castrate it, is what they tried to do.
Oh, God. Okay, that's it.
We finished.
We have. And
okay.
Yeah. Thanks, Suze. Okay. Safe travels. And
okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Bye.
Okay, bye. And, my apologies for like a, faltering, mucked up show. Sure felt that way to me. I'm sorry. I'll do better tomorrow. I promise, practice makes perfect. I've only been doing this for 40 years, 45 years. And it ain't as easy as it seems. Babbling for my supper. Anyway, you guys, enjoy the cooler weather, and I'll talk at you tomorrow.
Lynn Cullen Live, Monday through Thursday from 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. and archived at pghcitypaper.com. The opinions expressed on Lynn Cullen Live are those of the host and do not necessarily reflect the viewpoints of Pittsburgh City Paper or its advertisers.